Hey guys, what's going on? This is Danny Mac, and I'm super excited to be bringing you our first NerdHype Reads video. Today we're going to be going in 2010's Shadowland series, which takes place sometimes after the end of the Siege of Asgard event. I thought this would be a good story to pick up with, as we get a lot of great characters in the mix in this story, such as Spider-Man, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Moon Knight, and several others. So, let's dive right in. So the book opens us up in Japan at some place called the Jigoku-chu Castle, labeling it as the ancient sanctum of the hand. Here we see a group of men in red hoods sitting around a dark pit, and they're discussing Matt Murdock, as he is currently the leader of the Hand organization. What they're discussing here seems to be how to push Matt down to the side of darkness, and some are even doubting if he'll even take the final step into becoming fully dark. But the last one comments that there's nothing that can be done by them, that Daredevil will effectively have to damn himself. Here we see the reveal that this part of the Hand is none other than the Snake Root clan, a subsection of the Hand that has been known to be more of the evil side of the organization. In revealing this though, we also see that Snake Root says that they serve someone who will reign supreme by reviving himself via the black alchemy of the soul. Now it seems like we jump over to the air above New York, as a raft carrier seemingly transported a heavily guarded prisoner under lock and key with familiar artwork on his forehead. The guard comments that he'd love to get off the raft because he'd be able to quickly get rid of the stench of the prisoner, who we now know to be Bullseye. Bullseye simply responds with the question if that's any way to talk to an Avenger. As we all know, he took on the role of Hawkeye as Norman Osborn's Dark Avengers during the Dark Reign era of Marvel Comics, which came as a result of Civil War. Here we continue to see a conversation between Bullseye and the guards, as he's attempting to convince them to let him go because if they don't, the Sentry will be returning to kill everyone, and that Bullseye is one of the few people who knows how to control him, reasoning that if the Sentry was able to tear down through Asgard as if it was nothing, imagine what he'd do to New York. The guards here are skeptical of his approach, and jeering him on, saying that a trick like that wouldn't work on them. However, Bullseye starts foaming at the mouth as if he's dying, which causes the guard to trigger an emergency protocol to get him out of chains due to his flatlining. The guards, attempting to save his life, hit him with the defibrillator, urging him to tell them how to defeat the Sentry before he inevitably passes on. However, Bullseye was just acting, as he snatches the defibrillator and smashes it into the guards' faces, saying that he just made that up because after all, the Sentry was dead, which is something the guards now had in common with him. Bullseye uses this, of course, to escape, somehow ricocheting a bullet shot at him by the pilot of the plane back at him off of his cuffs, which causes him to snap them off rather easily. In doing so, he takes command of the ship and makes it take him to Hell's Kitchen, and when it does, we see the first etchings of Shadowland, a medieval Japanese-esque castle dropped in the middle of Hell's Kitchen, in the same block that Bullseye had previously destroyed. As he returns, however, we see the other street-level vigilantes in New York, such as Moon Knight, Spider-Man, the Punisher, as well as Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, in their respective areas outside of Shadowland, unaware of Bullseye's presence. Now from here we change scenes to the Avengers Tower, where it seems as if Thor and the Avengers are speaking to Luke Cage and Iron Fist about Matt Murdock's recent behavior and presence in Hell's Kitchen. Thor says that the building in Shadowland stirs an ill foreboding in him, and claims that no good will come of it. Now, Tony Stark here rationalizes with the other heroes that Daredevil's ivory tower is still a symbol of the people of Hell's Kitchen, and that their hero is still watching them. Meanwhile, Luke Cage and Danny Rand are less than convinced of this being a good thing. Iron Fist says that he's heard a few things in the soup kitchen where he volunteers at, mostly rumors of disappearances. Now we lead up with Iron Man telling Cage and Rand to tell Daredevil that the Avengers have his back, but Captain America interjects, saying that he needs to understand that Shadowland is strictly temporary, and there will be a time after the power vacuums have been filled where it will need to come down. Luke Cage simply replies to this by asking, what if he says no? And we see here that the Avengers poise themselves steadfast, as Captain America replies that would be unwise if he chose to go that route. Now from here we transition back to Shadowland, where we see a hand ninja being impaled through the chest with a set of Psi. We're revealed the weapons belong to Bullseye, as he's mounting a personal assault against Matt Murdock's fortress in an attempt to call him out for a one-on-one. A voice calls out to him from behind, however, saying that the last time he decided to fight him, that Bullseye murdered 107 innocent civilians, and that mistake won't happen again. We see Daredevil here appear for the first time in his book in his infamous black Shadowland costume, surrounded by heavily armed hand ninjas, which he has at his disposal. Bullseye seems less than impressed by this, as he retorts to Daredevil's statements by saying that he's clearly overcompensating for something. Daredevil retorts by saying that Shadowland is a monument to those he failed to serve, and a symbol to Hell's Kitchen that he'd never allow someone like Bullseye to threaten them again. Once again, Bullseye seems less than impressed, only for Daredevil to cut him off by saying that he's learned by now that the only way to win is without compromise. As Matt sends his ninjas after Bullseye, we see him jumping off the roof to evade the incoming onslaught. Not too far away, we're shown that Luke Cage and Iron Fist were watching the area and catch wind of the commotion in Shadowland and jump in quickly to help. However, we see here that Daredevil is less than interested in their help, as the first thing that comes out of his mouth is asking them if they swear allegiance to the Hand. And obviously refusing him, Daredevil brashly turns away the heroes for hire and commands them to let him and his people finish this once and for all. From here we transition over to the convention center, where the ninjas have finally managed to catch up with Bullseye. However, it seemed like this was a tactical setting chosen by the assassin, as he uses the glass building underfoot to make the ninjas lose their footing and plummet to their death's blow. As we can see here, it seems that Bullseye is having no trouble dispatching of the ninjas, and seemingly reveling in the fact that he's killing again. Once he's left alone with none of the ninjas left to kill, Daredevil steps in, kicking him square square across the jaw and sending him flying, actually plunging his head into the glass below. Of course, however, Bullseye stands up and continues to fight as Matt comes down on top of him. As he attempts to impale Daredevil with his side, he quickly reverses it and snaps his arm out of his socket, effectively rendering it useless. But he's not going to stop there, as Daredevil goes straight for the second arm, claiming that he knows he's just as deadly with one arm as he is with two, fully incapacitating him. Bullseye can do nothing but watch him in fear, as Daredevil picks up one of his own side, claiming that there must be something different about him, that this behavior isn't like him, and that he wouldn't possibly do what he's seemingly wanting to do. Luke Cage and Iron Fist watch from another rooftop, horrified, as they see what Matt's about to do, which is impale and effectively kill a helpless Bullseye with his own weapon, displaying a ruthlessness that Daredevil had never shown before. And with this, guys, we bring chapter 1 of this story to a close. Hope you all enjoyed it. We'll bring you chapter 2 next week. Make sure you leave your suggestion in the comments below for the next story you'd like to see us cover. This has been Danny Mac and NerdHype signing off. Believe the hype? Later.
Be sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube, but also check us out on Facebook for updates and memes on comics and gaming, as well as Twitter @TheRealNerdHype to find out when we go live for the Infinity Cast on twitch.tv/NerdHype.